Hello, welcome back to the podcast of us, the podcast of the podcast RJ, a full story. With your host of the most, Nolan, over here, and with our co-host of the most, Mass. Today we're going to be talking about the story of Romeo and Juliet. We're going to be talking about the summaries. We're going to be giving our opinions and all of that. And we can start off with Matt. You want to start off the story?
All right. So we start off the story with two servants fighting. Each servant coming from two families, Montagues and Capulets. Now these families, they despise each other. They don't like each other at all, and so of course they're fighting. But then the prince arrives and he tells them to stop and if they continue any fighting, it will be punished by death.
Yeah, it's kind of bad. But after that, we get to one of our first main characters, Romeo. He's talking about one of his friends, he's talking with one of his friends, Benvolio, about this girl he likes called Rosaline. And he's talking, oh, I love Rosaline, blah, 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 with Benvolio. But after that, they get a letter from the Capulets for a party. But things that Romeo is a Montague, and Capulets, Montagues, they don't mix up. So he has to wear a mask so he can come to his party. It's kind of like a masquerade party, let's say. So he gets there and can finish it off.
And when he's at the party, he forgets about Rosaline, because when he sees Juliet, he's just completely in love and he can't take his eyes off her. And that's basically, I'm pretty sure that's chapter 1.
Yeah, and just also at the end that they found out and they get separated, but Juliet still's like, oh, I'm madly in love, but she's still a bit like, but some Montague, but they still love each other so much. So in my opinion, it's a nice way to start the story off. Just shows principal characters.
Yeah,
it's just a pretty good way to start off.
Yeah.
It shows that Montagues don't like each other. So on. What do you want to say?
Yeah, it's also a pretty fast way to show that the lovers, they're already in love. So yeah.
Alright, you could start off with it.
Okay, so Romeo and Juliet, they're in love and they just can't stop thinking about each other. So then Romeo, he actually goes to Juliet's house secretly, and he sees Juliet at the balcony talking about Romeo and about how much she loves him. So of course Romeo and Juliet, they find out that Romeo is at the bottom of the balcony, and so they start talking. But then the nurse comes in and Romeo has to go because this love thing, it has to be kept a secret.
The thing is that even while they were talking, they decided we should marry. We need to talk about this. So they decided they were going to secretly marry without their parents knowing, no one knowing, and they had to. But then Romeo had to find someone to actually do this, which they found Friar Lawrence, and together with the help of Friar Lawrence and the nurse, they were able to marry secretly. So I think this was also a really good chapter. It just shows it lightens up the tone. For first time readers, this is really nice. It's oh, it's like a little romantic show.
Yeah.
It's still nice, but it goes downhill quite fast, and we'll see now from what Matt's gonna say.
So basically, they're married secretly. Nobody knows, only them, and also Friar Lawrence and the nurse. So then we go to Tybalt, who's Juliet's cousin. He's getting teased by Mercutio, who's a friend of Romeo.
Yeah.
So then Romeo finally arrives, secretly married, and Tybalt sees him and they want to fight because they're enemies.
Yeah.
But then Romeo's like, no, I don't want to fight. So instead Mercutio comes in and wants to fight him, but Tybalt kills him, sadly.
Yeah. Romeo was just ticked him off. This was the breaking point of Romeo. He just decided to lash it out. He kills Tybalt, stabbing him, and this is really horrible decision. I can't blame Romeo for this, but it was a bad decision. Now he has a bounty on him, not a bounty, but he needs to be banished. No one wants him anymore, and it's over for him. The Montagues are in disbelief. Everyone's in disbelief. It's just horrible. And now he's in a horrible predicament.
However, Juliet, she hears about this and she's not fully angry because she puts herself in his shoes, and so she's not angry and he's kind of forgiven by Juliet, but of course she's still kind of sad that Tybalt's dead. So
yeah, in my opinion, he's a little bit of a pickle right now. It's not the best situation for poor Romeo right now, but maybe he'll lift his boots and maybe get out of this. Highly doubt it. You want to kick off the fourth chapter?
Okay, so while Romeo is in this sticky situation, Capulet is finding a man for Juliet to marry, but Juliet, she's already secretly married to Romeo, so of course she doesn't want to marry, but she has no choice, or else there will be consequences to get kicked out the house and their family just disowning her. So she's desperate not to marry. So she and by the way, the man she's gonna marry is called Paris. Well, Yeah.
And also, in the meanwhile of this, there's also Romeo over here. He's really sad. He's depressed. He's like in the breaking point right now. But finally, he gets a bit of like energy to just go to Friar Lawrence, talk it out. And this was so serious for him. He even tries to kill himself multiple times in the talking. But thank God the nurse was over there taking away this knife so he could do it. But finally, he got the courage. He got the energy to go to Juliet and say his final goodbyes to her before he has to kill himself.
So while the final goodbyes are ended, Friar Lawrence and Juliet, they make a plan to make her to like avoid this wedding and act like she's dead. And that plan is to take a potion that makes her seem dead for 48 hours. But Romeo will come save her. So then, like, she'll be saved and they can live happy ever after. But the problem is, it has lots of fears. This plan has lots of fears she has to face, and
Well, my opinion, this chapter is kind of a roller coaster, let's say. A lot of stuff happened now. There's a crisis with Romeo, a crisis with Juliet. Everything's happening. What do you think, Nick?
but it's like suspense. There's a lot of suspense in here, but it also kind of sucks.
All right, now let's start off with the last chapter. I'll start it off with this time. We have Balthazar, the one of Capulet's servants. He gives a message to Romeo saying that Juliet's dead, and this astonished Romeo. He was like, what? So because of this, now he doesn't want to live anymore. He's just done. It's over. He goes to a shop to get a poison potion, to just drink it and finish it off. But he wants to do this in the tomb just to check out. But then he sees Paris.
And Paris, he's at the tomb putting flowers down. And of course, he gets angry because of Tybalt's cousin death and Romeo being meant to be banished. So then he fights Romeo, and Romeo kills him. But he shows respect Romeo by putting Paris down next to Juliet, because that was his last dying wish.
But then after Romeo, he's like, it's over, drinks the potion, and just dies. And the worst part is after this, Juliet wakes up. She just sees both of them laying on the floor, and she just like takes the knife that he used to fight, Romeo's knife, and stabs her. And the worst part of this is that Friar Lawrence is here, just there like, tell her no, not to do this, and has to see all of this happening, and all of them die. And it is quite of a sad ending, but there is a benefit. At least now the Capulets and the Montagues finally saw this. This is too much. We need to stop fighting. This many deaths over this is not worth it. And they finally decided to keep the peace, and they made a statue about it. And our final reviews, I think this book was a pretty good book. It had its twists, its fun, it has its charm. I think it deserves to be one of the most popular books. What do you think?
Not popular, but it does go, like, I thought it would be like super slow because that's how old books are. And it's not kind of like so Titanic, like not dying like loads of people dying.
I know what you
it's
mean.
just a couple, but like the making up is a bit late. It's a little bit annoying, but I think
Either
that's
way. So that's it for our podcast. RJ with your host of the Most Nolan and our host of the Coast.
mess.
And we'll be tuning out for now. Goodbye.